Hi, everybody. Welcome, and I really appreciate the welcome music. That was nice. So we feel like rock stars now. Real quickly, because we don't have a bunch of time, actually. So we have 20 minutes instead of 25. Is that right? Someone? Okay. We'll go quick. I'm just going to actually have the panelists introduce themselves because that just does it more justice. And also, this guy has a lot of titles. So, Matt, please take it away.
Hello, my name is Matthew Morgan. I'm here in my capacity as chairman of the Oklahoma Indian Gaming Association.
Hi, I'm Missy Stanisz, the director of sports wagering and iGaming for San Manuel Band of Mission Indians. I can't believe they got that to fit on there. I was a little concerned earlier.
Hi, I'm Saverio, Scheri, COO of Agua, Caliente casinos. We have 3 casinos, a fuel station with gaming, and we're about to open our new $45 million standalone spa.
I'm excited about that.
It's going to be awesome.
Wow, I am too. I didn't know that. So we're just going to get right into the panel topic here. So where this is coming from is a lot of tribes in Indian country are looking at, while we're waiting for states to regulate whether it's sports or specifically iGaming casino, what can we do now? And so that's really what this topic is about. And to really just kick this off, I do want to ask Matt the first question. As Class 2 mobile on-premise is gaining steam in Oklahoma, can you briefly explain to everyone what Class 2 games are at a high level and why they're such an asset to the tribes?
Sure. So let's start 1987, Supreme Court case, Cabazon, basically established that said tribes can operate any game that states civilly regulate and do not criminally prohibit. 1988 follows up. Congress enacted the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act, and they had broad classifications of forms of gaming: Class 1, Class 2, Class 3. Class 1 gaming was everything that was social and traditional that tribes had played for millennia. Jump to Class 3, that's your traditional casino games that said you had to have a compact with the state. You had to agree with them before you could operate something. But what it's left intact for tribes was Class 2. It's bingo-based games and non-house bank card games. And so in our world, in the tribal space, Class 2 is synonymous with bingo. That's the way you do it. No matter what form it shows at, what it looks like, the engine of that game is bingo-based. And so at a high level, that's what we're talking about today.
And in that, so it's just to kind of throw this out even further, there's a lot of Class 2 games out there. They look like slot machines, but it's using bingo math. And so in what Matt was talking about, allows for technological aids for bingo. So when we talk about Class 2 slots and now looking at getting them online and restricting them to the actual the premise of Indian land, Saverio.
Sal's fine.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have a cool nickname, though, like Wolf.
I know, we can't edit it out later. So, Sal, in light of a year ago, we were on the stage, we were talking about the sports betting 26 and 27 propositions, and in light of neither of those passing, how important is it for the tribes right now to engage in mobile gaming?
Yeah, I think it's very important for a number of different reasons. And, I know we talked a little bit about this, but we don't know where it's going to lead. We don't know if it'll stay, on reservation. We could expand beyond that. But one of the things that we like about it is that it's a great introduction to our customers of just, using your mobile device to game. And we know eventually that could lead to sports wagering. It's very important just to kind of, stimulate and allow us to engage with our customers in a different way. Great.
Does anyone else have a comment on that? Or feel free to hop in, by the way, everybody. Don't wait for me. Actually, this is a big question that we'll all have comments on. But Missy, let's start with you. What are the big advantages of providing a Class 2 mobile on-premise solution to customers?
Convenience is one of them. I don't know if you've been to a casino before that's completely full. Sometimes that happens, particularly on weekends. And expanding the capacity of the gaming floor for guests that are there enjoying the amenities is a great convenience factor. It also helps the guests, to Sav's point, get comfortable with your digital technology, get into your ecosystem where they're stickier, so that if and when something regulates beyond those borders, you hope to keep that guest in your digital ecosystem.
And I would add to that, one of the things that when Congress set up this framework, it's a federal statute that we have to follow, it allowed for compacts that, state governments could charge fees. You can't tax another government, but you can charge a fee for something that you're giving up to tribes. So in a lot of these states where you have Class 3 compacts, in addition to the money you're paying out with your stakeholders, to your customers, to all your overhead that goes along with it, you're paying a fee to the state. In Class 2, that's not the case. Tribes are the primary regulators. They're enforced by the National Gaming Commission, but there is no fee for Class 2 gaming. So when you're talking about convenience to the customer, you also have to add in there that extra money that you're able to keep as an operator in order to give back into your communities.
That's actually a really good point. In multiple states, specifically California and Oklahoma, which is kind of why these people are here from these states, there's a count of how many Class 3 slot machines they're allowed to have without paying fees, or they'll have to pay more fees to the state. And so Class 2 allows them to not have to pay those fees. And going back to the why you would want to do this for your customers, and like Missy said, if you have whether it's an occupancy issue because your slot machines people are waiting in line to get on them, like that happens at San Manuel, or you're able to, depending on the rules of the state and whether or not your land is in trust, you're able to actually put these I can play on my mobile device in my room, or we can have a slot tournament at the pool without having a physical slot machine there. And so it's amenities, but also like you said, the expansion to other areas, which kind of brings me to my next question. And Matt, where, like I said, we're not just talking about the gaming floor here, we're talking about other areas of a casino property, but are we also looking at outside of a casino, but on tribal land? Is that something that will be allowed in Oklahoma?
Well, sure. I mean, when you start looking at the federal requirements, again, I keep going back to federal because that's where it is other than your agreements with the state. Federal threshold is you need to operate on Indian lands, which is a defined term, and you have to show you have governmental authority over that property. My daytime job, I work at the Chickasaw Nation. Chickasaw Nation, we have South Central Oklahoma. We're about the size of the state of New Jersey in terms of how much geography we go. And so, there's lots of opportunities there that we could expand beyond just our facility and offer, not only what you term in traditional Class 2 slots, I hate that word, but slots, so people understand the electronic games. But, you're looking at other forms, as long as your base game is based on bingo, and whether you're trying to play an interactive game through, a sports betting app that you're using bingo as the base, it's a little bit different. But as long as you're using a bingo-based games and your games that you have bonus prizes in, it could be anything you could come up with. It could be a social game, it could be a skill game, it could be sports, whatever that may be. You're able to use those permutations and develop your customer base beyond just what you're looking for in your facility alone. And so that helps. I mean, like Missy was saying, Chickasaw at our property, WinStar World Casino down in Thackerville, Oklahoma. We have 10,000 electronic games in there, and we're full on the weekends. We love Texas. Thank you for everybody from Texas. But yeah, so we need additional games, additional capacity of how we're able to go on and still earn revenue without being able to expand beyond the walls of our facility.
And pay more to the state of Oklahoma. Right? I mean, but okay, so I just, same question to Sal and Missy. Do we see in California the same opportunities to not only just restrict this to mobile on-premise for the casino, but also to move this outside, but on tribal lands elsewhere?
I'm going to let Sal take this one because
Sure.
they've got a big piece of tribal land too.
Yeah. So Agua Caliente is a little different. It's interesting because I guess at the time they awarded the reservation to the tribe, the United States government sought to kind of stick it to the tribe. And what they did was they gave them a checkerboard instead of contiguous land. So every piece of property or the piece of land that is part of the reservation, it's like a checkerboard if you look at it. And at the time, the tribe was, what are you doing to us? This is horrible. Fast forward 150 years, 100 years, 50 years. That is the entire Coachella Valley, most of the Coachella Valley. So you go through and, the airport, that's tribal land. Oh, the Hilton, that's tribal land. And it goes on and on and on like that. So I'm very pleased that the tribe was able to, in the long run, kind of win on that. But what that does is that gives us a very unique opportunity to provide mobile gaming in a lot of off-premise locations that's still tribal land. It's not at our casino, but it's at the airport. And what better thing to do when you're sitting there waiting for a flight that's delayed? Engage a little bit with the casino. When you're sitting at the Hilton, which is near one of our casinos, but not on premise, but it's tribal land. We can do that, and we it's very extensive how we can do that, and so we kind of like that. We have to be smart how we do it, because we know that if we have a customer that is playing a game and they walk across the street and it's geofenced that is not tribal land, they'll get disconnected. But we think we can manage that through some effective communications. So we're actually excited about how we can deploy, kind of throughout the Coachella Valley that way.
That's awesome. And I would assume, Missy, same thing with Manuel. If there's extra tribal land anywhere, there's something on it.
That's the challenge,
Yeah,
right?
you're-
We got not the greatest space of land for the tribe that I work
Yeah.
for, too, up against the San Bernardino Mountains, so very landlocked, residential neighborhoods right up to that, so we don't have as much opportunity from
Yeah.
beyond the casino space, but we're super excited about what Agua's able to do, our neighbors.
Awesome. So just to let you guys know, everybody in the audience here signed an NDA, so you can totally share some stuff. That's not really true, but so when we're talking about class 2, when we're talking about bingo math, right? It doesn't have to be, the most popular form of it is in slot machines, or what looks like a slot machine with reels. But the math can actually be ported into other different verticals, such as daily fantasy sports. Somebody is actually looking at virtual sports as well, and then also table games. So specifically roulette can be done in class 2 with bingo math. And for an exercise in that, please let me know after I'll draw a diagram of it. But are any tribes looking at those in a mobile on-premise? Are any of you guys looking at that, if you can answer that? Other verticals other than just the slots? And if none of you can answer that, everyone here will understand.
I can give an example for another tribe.
Yes.
Chicken Ranch Casino in California is working on launching a Class 2 mobile on-premise sports betting DFS product. And so we're watching this develop as well. So it's not just the slot player you appeal to, right? This broadens that game base and that interest base. So it's not just the traditional slot player on the Class 3 slot machine in the property.
And two of our Oklahoma Indie Gaming Association member tribes are working with Chicken Ranch and helping develop that product. And I think that's what you see a lot across the United States, where you're prohibited either, for a variety of reasons, whether that's you don't want to pay the fees, whether the state won't come to the table to negotiate a compact, whether your location is so rural and not populous enough to, how can I participate in these forms of gaming? And the Class 2 gives a pathway forward for those type of ventures, whether it's sports betting, whether it's daily fantasy sports, whether it's just additional, mobile on-premise electronic games. Class 2 is that path forward that a lot of people are looking at, but whatever the obstacle is that you can help get around it. Is that the preferred method? Probably not. But that is the reality of what we live with and what we work with. And, over the years, as Class 2 has grown and developed from your old paper and daub system into what we see today, they would have told you then that none of that was going to be successful either. So, I think this industry is going to continue to grow and develop and innovate in ways that we don't even know yet.
I fully agree with that. I think in Indian country, this Class 2 variations of content are really going to be developed specifically because while the tribes are waiting for states to regulate some form of online gaming, it's a new source of revenue for the tribes, and it's also gives you guys the experience of, hey, when we can do this off of tribal lands, you've already got the experience and you're ready to go. So on that, actually,
If I could add something
Yeah,
to
of
that,
course.
Wolfie. It's interesting. I'll probably use up whatever time we have left here, but at one point in my life, I was on the consulting side and provided consulting to tribal nations, across the country, and it took some time, but over the years, I gained an understanding of what the tribe's mission was. And, you know, a lot of us may think it's, you know, to open a casino and put slot machines in there and generate as much revenue as they can. Well, you know, that's a piece of it, but it's also about, you know, their future generations, right? They talk about, you know, the 7th generation, their grandchildren's grandchildren. And that's easy to hear, hard to understand. Over time, I've learned, and I'll never have a full understanding of it because I'm, you know, not fortunate enough to be a tribal member, but having gained the trust of tribal members, I've learned what is important to them and what's not. And while, you know, a big part of my job is, you know, running 3 casinos on a daily basis, the other side of my job is helping to plan for that 7th generation. And as part of that, we look at things like Class 2 gaming and the different types of entertainment and content that they can provide. And you know, just like Matt and Missy were talking about, the different things that you can do as that, you know, that legacy to continue providing entertainment and engaging, because as we know, the customer today in the casino, it's changing. And through attrition, we're losing our you know, look, everybody makes most of their money on the slots now, right? Very few jurisdictions are you know, relying on table games. That's just the facts. The other fact is that, you know, that traditional slot player is getting older. And as we lose them through attrition, we need to think about how we're going to engage with the younger demographic. And it's not skill-based games, I'll tell you that right now. That's not the answer. But some of these other things that we're doing with Class 2, in fact, could be something that engages with these customers. So when we're planning, you know, yeah, I have to plan about what's happening next week and next month and next year, but I'm also thinking about what's happening 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and how we prepare for those things.
That's a great point. I want to comment on that, but we don't have time. So
That's a whole other panel.
yeah, it
Sorry.
is.
Yeah,
It is, 'cause- no, because the
Yeah.
reality is that we're not talking about shareholders like in a commercial gaming situation. We're talking about an entire community that their roads and their healthcare and the schools, everything is funded from this, and so you have to plan
Exactly.
for that because that's what's going to be the next generation's legacy. So, just going into obstacles here of getting this started or getting it up and running, or things that you might have encountered already. Matt, what do you think is some of the biggest obstacle from a regulatory perspective in getting this started?
You know, I wore a regulator hat for about 7 years, and so, you know, what they look at, especially in light of what, you know, Sal was relaying, you know, is trying to make sure that, you know, that any offerings that come through are well thought out, that your customer's protected, but also that, you know, that the tribe has done its due diligence before offering. One of the things that we tend to run into on a tribal side is, one, we're dealing with a federal statute that's 35 years old. And it's a one-size-fits model for the entire country. And then the National Gaming Commission, our federal regulatory partners, are the same way. You know, we don't get a regulatory structure for tribes in Oklahoma or tribes in, you know, in this sense. We have one we deal with, and so we're always trying to fit things into a view that works for everyone. So, you know, that in a sense is hard. So, what I would tell you, what I need from a regulatory side, you know, if I'm sitting in their chair, is I need really great partners. You know, I need really great providers. I need really great lawyers. I need really great engineers, a great relationship with the labs, great relationship with our regulatory partners. That's what I need. I need partners there that are working towards a similar goal and how we're going to make something happen. That, I think, is the biggest obstacle that I see that we need to overcome.
Awesome. Missy, I'm going to give you the last word here. What do you see as the biggest obstacles from an operations perspective?
I'm going to flip it to opportunities.
Okay.
Because while there are obstacles, there are opportunities for all of you in this room if you work in the industry.
Look at the glasses half full.
Content.
Yeah.
There's a huge opportunity in content. And if you are in the content business, these are the people you want to be talking to, because there's a big need for that, and that's going to grow exponentially over the next few years. Making sure that your team can pivot to a digital strategy. If you don't have digital natives on your team, people that can do that understand e-commerce, this is a paradigm shift in how you create a customer journey, how you connect them to your gaming floor. So you got to get real smart about that stuff really quickly.
Awesome. And right now, 0 seconds. Again, perfect timing. I want to thank my panelists here. Just so you know, there's about 80 years of gaming experience on this stage. In fact, my friend Sal had a pet pterodactyl when he got started. Thank you all very much. Please give them a warm welcome.